Warning! During this review, I'd just like you guys to acknowledge that I really love you all. I love you more than anything, and I hope that you keep that in mind, and you love me too. This isn't gonna work, is it? Okay, so let me start off by saying that this is the episode that I've been dreading the most in Series 7B. I haven't been looking forward to it at all since they announced the episode titles, and the posters and all the clips of it and trailers really haven't excited me. I didn't watch any of the clips coming up to the episode because I didn't want to be disappointed if it was a bad episode or get anything spoiled. I wanted to go into this episode with a completely open mind, and I want to actually completely contradict myself. Now, this episode does feature a brand new writer, Neil Cross, and that's why I gave this episode the benefit of the doubt when watching all the stuff that didn't really interest me, because I thought, right, we haven't seen anything by this guy before, he might actually be pretty good. But still, I'm getting way too ahead of myself. Why don't we skip back? Why don't we just, go back to the very beginning of the episode and analyse the whole thing? Okay, so, pre-title sequence. Personally, I thought this was actually the best bit of the episode. I really love this pre-title sequence. Now, it starts off in the 1980s. We meet Clara's parents when they first met, and that is also the origin of the leaf that was in the book of, Clara's book in the Bells of St. John. And we see the Doctor observing this, from a distance, also reading a Beano magazine, points there. So we can tell that obviously the Doctor is going back on Clara Oswin's life, rule out the last name. Now, the key bit of this here, I thought, was when she was about 8 or 9 years old, and the Doctor accidentally gets kicked in the head by a football that she kicked. This reminded me of the prequel to the Bells of St. John, when the Doctor meets Clara in a park and she's about the same age, but the Doctor has no idea who she is, but it's kind of like an introduction to Clara. And this is what you get again. You have Clara's about that age, she meets the Doctor for the first time, and it's like a new introduction all over again. Except this time, the Doctor knows who Clara is, and Clara has no idea who the Doctor is. And there's something really sweet and innocent about that scene, which makes you go, aww. And I think Matt Smith did a brilliant performance during that. All of this is leading to who is Clara, which is the main story arc of Series 7B. Who is Clara Oswin? And the Doctor is really determined to find out who she is. And then we eventually go back to the Doctor picking up Clara the day after she told him to. Right, we were going to take a step forward and go to Akhaten. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. But I actually want to talk about the title sequence briefly. Oh great, here we go again. No, not oh great, here we go again. I'm not going to talk about the title sequence visually, like we've done so many times on this channel. I'm going to talk about the title sequence audio-wise. Now, the audio has vastly changed since The Snowman has a brand new theme which is more better. I particularly like this bit. And a lot of the really annoying sound effects have been either cut out entirely or the volume of it have been lowered. I do miss the TARDIS sound effect at the very end when, the name pops up. That's one sound effect I really wish they did bring back. But apart from that, it's an improved title sequence audio-wise. And, well done BBC. Okay, so let's move on to the stuff in Akhaten. After watching the episode a second time, I could really compare it to another episode. It reminded me a lot like the episode from Series 1, The End of the World. Now, the reason that these two episodes remind me of one another is because of one reason and one reason only: to do with the companions. Rose and Clara's first trip in the TARDIS are near enough identical. Apart from the fact, Earth explodes in Rose's first trip in the TARDIS. It's the fact that they both just travelled across time and space, and once they step outside the TARDIS doors, every single alien that you could ever imagine is thrown in their face. Now, I don't know why that kind of annoys me in a way. Some of the aliens in Akhaten looked fantastic, don't get me wrong. It's the fact that how well Clara digested all of that, which is annoying because it both amazed me in a good way. I mean, Clara dives straight in. She's talking to every alien, she's trying to speak their language. Nice touch, by the way. No TARDIS translation like that. She's trying all the foods without even, consoling the Doctor about, could this kill me, could it not? Nah, I'll just have a drink of it. The marketplace scene really is fantastic. All of, different traders, when people coming from all around the world just to, see what these traders have got, they're buying and they're selling. And the currency was really well. Rather than money, something valuable that has a lot of, history behind it and something that means a lot to you for items. And we also see a very happy Doctor, probably the happiest he's been since Amy and Rory has left, because he's travelling on a world, he's looking at aliens and, he's finally got someone brand new to show all the wonders of the universe. And that, really stood out. Matt Smith's performance really, his performance in each episode is getting higher and higher, I think. Right, so now there's my full stop. This is when the episode kind of starts to fall for me. Now, rather than analysing the whole kind of, from the marketplace scene till the very end, I'm going to kind of just cut it into sections. Right, let's begin. Characters. We meet Mary, spelled Merry, not spelled the conventional way. Now, the thing about Mary and the rest of the secondary cast, such as the guards of the Queen of Years, they really bored me. I don't know, I didn't find any of them actually interesting at all. Even Mary, I don't know why. The characters didn't really do anything. There was no real connections to them. I don't know why. There wasn't a lot of secondary characters in this episode. I think the extent of it was Mary, that one praise singy guy, I can't remember his name. I don't even think we just saw his name actually, who was in the temple with the mummy, who just disappeared. I want to know why he disappeared though. Did he disappear because the mummy had woken up and grandfather was getting ready to eat everything? Or did he disappear because he's going to be somehow related to something in the future? That's what we never figured out. Even Clara's parents I couldn't find interesting or relate to at all, and they were your pretty normal human beings. Even the speech that Clara's father gave to her mother on the doorstep about how this leaf brought them together, it was just too cringeworthy. It was so... something that would never happen, basically. We've all seen stuff in romantic films about, oh, if this didn't happen, I wouldn't have met you, or I can't live without you, or that sort of thing. But that went past all romantic films. It was just over the top and unnecessary and ridiculous. So in conclusion, the Doctor and Clara were the only two characters that I really liked in this episode. The story itself was pretty much very simple. You could pretty much probably sum it up in a sentence or two. It's just really this. The Doctor and Clara go to a festival, little girl wakes up Son tries to eat everybody, little bit of Sonic Ex Machina, big massive speech, Son is destroyed. The end. And it all felt very unconnected with the episode, the events really just kind of spurred out of nowhere, in my opinion, and it just really wasn't going anywhere, and it was just kind of chopped together. And it was overall dull. Now, people could say, oh, talk about the mummy, talk about the son. Those were the two kind of big monsters of the episode. I want to talk about the Vigil. Please tell me I'm pronouncing it right. It's Vigil, so I'm hoping that is pronounced that way. Those were the villains that interested me the most in this episode. They looked both beautiful and terrifying at the same time, and not to mention that voice. When I first heard that voice, I was just like, did Mark Gatiss write this episode? I mean, it was something that you thought you could have heard in your nightmares, to be honest. And to be honest, I was a teeny bit terrified of it. A little bit of pee may have came out. But those dark, eerie eyes staring into your soul that you cannot look away from. Chilling. But just as we're starting to enjoy them, they get snapped away like that. They're no longer required, and the Vigil are taken out of the episode. And that annoyed me because I've really started to like them. I would like to see the Vigil brought back in a future episode and maybe explore the little history a bit more. And despite how scary that voice was, I loved it. I'd love to hear them say something more than "Where are you?" Now, I may have thrown in some key bits that I really liked about this episode, and I've also expressed some of the bad things I didn't like about this episode, but overall, I thought it was one of the weaker episodes of Series 7 overall. Snowman being the weakest, and then this being just above that, with the Power of 3 just above that. It just wasn't a great episode for me. I know a lot of you loved it. I know Richard loved it. Sorry, Richard. Overall, I give this episode a 5 out of 10. Matt Smith had a brilliant performance. Jenna Louise Coleman had a brilliant performance. Pre-title bit was fantastic. Just after the titles in the marketplace was fantastic. But overall, it was a bit of a weak episode.
And they might as well have called it Doctor Who and the Spoonheads, or Doctor Who the Alien Wi-Fi, for all the good it was because of that stupid teasing title.
Richard's going to be here next week reviewing Cold War. Do not miss out on that episode. Do not miss out on that review. The Return of the Ice Warriors, and it all takes place on a Russian submarine during the Cold War. It's going to be a fantastic episode. And I'll be back in about, I think, 5 weeks' time reviewing episode 12. See you guys then.